It's really difficult to get your benefits approved if you are working. How to work safely without having a negative impact on your Social Security disability benefits. Regardless if you are trying to get approved or if you're already approved for disability benefits, I'm going to break it down in this video. Hopefully, you'll understand what your options are. It's a frequently asked questions in my almost 2 decades of doing this, and it's one of my favorite ones to address. So I'm Brian Terrian here from the Disability Digest. Um, I've experienced this firsthand with the Disability Digest because a significant part of our team for like 2 decades has been disability recipients. So I understand like how much people can make and keep their benefits. And since we started doing this in 2007 with Dennis Berry, our first advocate, we haven't had anybody have any problems with their benefits. They stay within the allowed amount and it works totally fine. That doesn't mean you won't be reviewed. These individuals have been reviewed, but that's part of the process. So here we go. The first thing is if you're going through the disability approval process, there's a different regulation that you're subject to than once you're approved. And I'm going to touch on those of you that are out there trying to get approved and working or considering working. It's really difficult to get your benefits approved if you are working. It's just been my experience because Social Security looks at your case and they say, well, you know what? I understand you're working 15 hours a week, but if you had a different job, reasonable accommodations, or if you went to pain management more, then you you'd be able to work. So be very careful about that. And I'm going to focus the majority of this conversation on once you're approved. So just to tighten up for those of you that are not approved, I would consider that you use this as a setup time to work on your health, get your benefits approved, and then once you're approved, follow the guidance that we have to get back in the game and start doing something proactively, work or work related. All right. So that's my take on that. All right. So first of all, I'm going to go from like worst to first solutions. And go worst being going from a disability recipient that's been approved right back into full-time work. The reason why I call that the worst is that most people that are disability recipients, you work so hard to get it, and you might have a month of optimism where you're like, oh, geez, I think I can work. And you go out and you bail on your benefits and you go in and you seek full-time work. And it doesn't work out. The challenge with that is it's typically not good for your health. And in addition to that, yes, you can safely get back on benefits, so they say, but it's not always not always easy. So just be cautious about getting lured into a ticket to work program where you're going to go from not working to working full time. And it is an attractive program, but I gotta give it to them. But your health is the primary concern here. All right. So the next one is part-time work. And if you are approaching part-time work, you can work part-time and stay below the allowed amount and keep your benefits. And you can do it every month. And at the time of this recording in 2025, the part-time amount that you can earn as a disability recipient is $1,160. It's best to stay like 20% below that. And that is your gross. And of course, you can deduct like your expenses, your impairment related work expenses, other expenses, and bring that number down. But that is the amount. So if you're earning in the $800 a month range, that's great. And that could be as an employee, or if you're doing something individually, like, you're doing your own freelance type activity, it's based on your tax return. That's where I see a lot of success for people here at the Disability Digest. I have known, well, two that I can think of that have gone back to work full time successfully. So it's more common that and a lot of people do stuff part time, especially those that work here at the Disability Digest. So that could be tutoring, it could be freelancing, it could be helping out families. What met people started lawn mowing businesses, sitting around businesses. There's just a lot of creative things that you can do. You can turn your hobby into cash flow. So the last and my favorite starting point for people that have not worked is to not work. Actually, is to take a hobby or volunteer and put yourself in a low pressure but work-like environment where you're doing something, committing to something on specific period of time, like 2 or 3 hours a day. You're going to work on your hobby. You're going to go in a room in your house or go somewhere. People have even looked at doing a book club where they're responsible for banging out a certain amount of reading and engagement, keeping score at basketball games, volunteering at schools, doing Meals on Wheels. These are all things that people have done that put them in that work-like environment to test. And then once successful there, go out and pursue like a part-time job would be the next step. So those are the things. I have some mindset message for you, if you will, in approaching this. Most that go through the disability process have sickness, injury. That's why they're seeking their benefits. And you're not able to work full time. But oftentimes people beat themselves up. They're like, oh my God, I can't do what I used to do. So as best as I can communicate this is, let's say you used to work 8 or 10 hours a day, but you don't have that capacity anymore. You may have 2 hours a day. That is your work day now. So look at the work day that you have and make the most of those 2 hours and do the very best you can to release that connection to that whole identity that you had for the 8 or 10 hour workday that you used to have. That if you can get that right, that will serve you very, very well. I'm going to put a link around this video to how much money you can make and get and keep your benefits. You can go in and look at the regulation on that. So the amount that I told you, it's not just, something I made up. For more assistance with information about how to get approved and stay approved, we encourage you to join us as a member. There'll be a link around this video. Subscribe so that you get more of our content, more messages like this. And come join our live events. We have a live event weekly on YouTube. It's also broadcast over on Facebook, on TikTok, guest speakers, different topics. You can join the conversation live and ask us questions in person, or you can just submit your questions. So I hope you find this helpful. Make it a great day.